All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the edition of Farmer Cigar Garage Talks. We are definitely gonna be in the garage. Maybe I'll sneak out and do another porch talk with a fire with homeschooling mama. But for now, we're gonna be in the garage. Temperatures dropping rapidly. Winter is a coming. This gimbal that I have doesn't let me tilt my camera up very easily. But I actually cleaned out my entire garage. There might be an extra echo in here. There's no bikes, no resin printers, no extra tables, nothing. It's actually very, very empty in here. So we can get the cars in. I usually have at least one of my vehicles sit outside. But winters are coming. Before we get to the topic, what are we smoking? What are we drinking? The delicious Jackadoo from Blackbird Cigar Company. Loving these cigars. Again, everyone they come out with, absolute brilliant cigar. Good draw. I love the draw on these cigars. Flavor's phenomenal. And they're about the right size for a good smoke time. I am running low, though, on cigars in general. Unfortunately, I think I put out there in the video that I was hoping my wife was going to buy me some cigars for my birthday. Didn't happen. Lots of other cool merch, though, that she got me, and gifts and all that. So not holding against her, just saying I got to order some new cigars. The drink tonight, kind of a fun one, from the Three Floyds, has been on here before. It's not normal. Yeah, that's cute. But it's Wig Splitter. Kind of a fun little zombie-based coffee stout. I guess it's not really zombie, just some brains blowing out of people's heads. That's fun. Coffee stout from Three Floyds. I do like their beers. They do put out some interesting ones. I've not had this one before. Pretty cool little bottle cap, too. That's going to go in my bottle cap collection. And it's for my kids, actually. They're the ones who collect the bottle caps. I used to as a kid. Anyway, I digress. I picked this beer since it is the Halloween season. Kind of a cool little... I thought there were zombies. Nice, dark. No head, really, but dark beer. It's good. I would not have... if you blindfold me and me drink that, I would not say that was a coffee stout. Very, very subtle. You almost miss it, but it's a good stout, though. A good, robust stout. So anyway, what are we talking about? We're on the next episode of the marriage series that I like to call, Is It Better or Is It Just New? So I kind of talked about this. I think I talked about this in an earlier video. I was downstate, down in Lansing, for a work meeting, and my manager's manager was there giving a presentation on this new tracking system for document approval. Or, I'm sorry, let me start. We have to do document approval. The system sucks. Everyone knows it sucks. Even my manager's manager knows it sucks. So he had this steering committee formulate a new process to make it more efficient, leaner, and meaner, and more able to get information out quicker. Great, I love it. So he gave a report on this, what this committee, which was a paid committee. They dedicated many hours and time, and I think they even brought in a consultant or two to talk about efficiency. And they presented their preliminary findings. Shock or none, it's the most inefficient system out there to approve documents. Okay, we knew that. So they came with this brand new system that's out of the box. And they were kind of pitching it. And they said, are there any questions? Of course, it's early on in the process. So I shot my hand up. And, of course, my manager's manager gave out a big sigh. Because he knows I don't hold back. I am not trying to climb the proverbial corporate ladder. I don't one day foresee myself in my manager's position, let alone my manager's position. I'm quite comfortable where I'm at. I like my job. I like my position. I like my pay. So, sitting here, and I asked him, I said, okay, I have to know, is this system better or is it just new? And of course, he got his angry face. How dare you ask that? Everyone else had the look of, yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking too. Is this a better system or is this just a new system? Is it going to have just as many problems, just as many issues, just as many hang-ups? But, now we have to learn a new system. Now we have to spend exorbitant amounts of money to implement it. And, there's going to be a huge learning curve just to basically have the same efficiency. So it did get me thinking. I started talking about, and again, it's coming up here. I'm looking for a weekend when I'm in a kind of a depressed mood to talk about like the 7-year itch and doubt in your relationships and whatnot. But I want to touch on this a little bit. So we're kind of dipping our toes into this. That whole, is it new or is it better? When you talk about relationships, that comes up. In EMS, we have some of the highest divorce rates among many professionals. I mean, the only people who are closer are law enforcement and firefighters. Infidelity and divorce is insanely high in those fields. The one department I worked at, there out of 40 people, I think there was 40 employed at the time. There was only 2 of us who were on our first wives. Everyone else had been married and divorced multiple times. The department I worked at down in Maryland, the guys would openly talk about how they have their wives, they have their girlfriends, and then they have their station bunnies. The cute female firefighter who's easy. That's the station bunny. They still have their girlfriends that they go out to the movies with, and their wives they go home and help raise the kids with. So, the idea of, or it's almost acceptable in public service to find people who are divorced. Now, because it's acceptable, people are more willing to entertain that idea. And it kind of is. I've had many a partner who have divorced their significant other because they found someone new. And, I kind of look at that saying, asking my boss, is this new or is it better? I can say without a shadow of a doubt, that none of those people who divorced their wives or broke up with their lifelong girlfriends found something better. They found something new, sure. They definitely found something new. But is it better? No, they still have communication issues. There's still trust issues. The new girlfriend or the new wife eventually realizes that the EMS schedule sucks. And lo and behold, they're filing for their second divorce. And again, it's very common in EMS. And so one of the reasons is like, when I first married homeschooling mama, I could not, and I would not, go home and talk about 90% of what I did. I did not need to scare my wife. I did not need to share the trauma I'd gotten exposed to, the death, the destruction. She'd know, right? She'd know when I had a bad call. Sometimes I'd call her and just want to listen to her voice or listen to the kids. Then she knew I either dealt with a pregnant woman or I dealt with a baby or an infant or a child. I'd have a short fuse. I'd come home yelling. And I'd have a short fuse. And she'd know that I'd had a long shift. I had a fight. Maybe I had a patient die that I could have saved. or some sort of bureaucracy kept me from doing what the best good for a patient. And when you can't talk to your spouse about that, you have to get out some other way. So usually I'm talking to your partner or other people at the station. And when you share that type of life, that life of extreme stress, it's easy to talk to people who've lived it. So unfortunately in EMS, we'd have a lot of people who would be cheating on the one they're married with because the person at the station just gets them. I don't know how many times I would be talking to some of these young guys, or even some older guys actually, and they're like, I'm thinking about breaking up with my wife or my girlfriend. And the question I always ask, well, what's going on? What happened? Well, she just doesn't get me. But Molly, not a specific person. I don't think I've ever worked with a Molly in the EMS. Anyhow, Molly, she understands. I had that code on that baby, and I talked to her for like 2-3 hours. She understands me. Well, no. One, Molly is very good at psychological patience, which you were at the time. But she's lived it. She knows what you've gone through. And here's this guy talking about how, he's going to ask Molly to date and to go out. Or I think they were dating, actually. Remember correctly. Again, Molly's code for someone else. And he's like, yeah, she's the one. I'm like, is she though? Is she new or is she better? Because you share no other interests. The only thing you share is EMS. You share work. Which it took me a while to realize that although EMS is a vitally important service to the community, as one of the greatest callings someone could be called to, it's not your life. Your job is not your life. It's not who you should be defined as. I did, and I'll talk about that during the 7-year itch video. I defined myself by my work. I was a paramedic. Someone asked who I was, I'd tell them I'm a paramedic. I'm going to talk about how that kind of caused some issues. Caused lots of issues, actually. But again, save that for that video. So these people are dumping their significant other because you both have the same job, but they're not interested in the compatibility of the other things, families, religion, finance ideas, political views even. It's just because you shared a foxhole together. You're in a combat situation, quote unquote, of course, not real combat, but it feels like it being in EMS. Going on these calls, I've had service members tell me it's akin to being in combat, the stresses you feel, the emotions you feel. So it's not my assessment. Don't accuse me of stolen valor. I've had other vets, or I've had vets, I'm not a vet, obviously. I've had veterans tell me who became EMS professionals that this is the closest they've ever gotten in the civilian life to combat, is being on an EMS call, high stress, high emotion. So it is a problem. You're a worker on these people. You're like, well, they get me because they understand my work. And this can be related to any field. Let's say you're an accountant. Your wife just doesn't want to hear about how you were able to balance the books on the McKinley case because she doesn't get it. But yet that other CPA you're working with, she understands. She gave you a high five. She knows the adrenaline rush you must be having for balancing that account and that books. Suddenly start looking at her. She gets me. I can talk to her about being an accountant. Well, we're not our work. That's not what we do. Sorry about that. My phone's a little busy here. So what we have to do then is ask ourselves, is this better or is this new? And if it's better, how is it better? The relationships we're in aren't all bad. There are some good. Does this new relationship have the same and better? Or is it just new, something fun to try, something to spend money on? I hope, well, I don't say I hope no one ever gets divorced. It's a horrible thing. Being the product of a divorced parents, one of the worst travesties you can do to a child is break up a marriage. But it does happen. And too many times I want to grab people by the face when they're chasing after someone else to cheat on their spouse and ask them, is this better or is this just new? And I think too many times it's just new. It's just different. But unless you change yourself and honestly are truthful with yourself, what would be better for you, you're going to fall into the same trap. Just like this tracking program at work. It's not going to be any better. It's just going to be new. And for a month or two, it's going to be great. Because we'll all be learning it. For a month or two, my manager's manager will no doubt send me little messages telling me how wrong I was. That this is better and new. And within 6 months, we'll be talking about the next system. And again, I'll ask them, is this better or is this new? So if you're out there contemplating cheating on your significant other because this is new, ask yourself, is it truly better? And be honest with yourself. Is it truly better? Or is it just the same shit with a bigger price tag? I think you'll find out that it's not any better. It's just new. And I think if you look really hard, you'll realize that you can work on what you have to make it better. You can adapt it, streamline it, make it more efficient, get rid of the bullshit. And you can take what you have and make it better. Don't have to make it new. Anyway, folks, I'm going to go finish my cigar, finish my delicious beer. I hope you're all doing great out there. I hope these relationship videos are helping you. Yeah. Stay safe out there. See you on the next one.